Hey guys, Sean Terry here. What is up? Driving in the car, just came back from an appointment with a motivated seller that owns a ton of apartment complexes. All right, so the question is, you go in, you're talking to a motivated seller, and you're at the close, right? What do you do to close the deal, to get them to sign the contract? So after you have went through your whole presentation, you built rapport, you've got the repair sheet, you do all that type of stuff, how do you get them to sign the contract? A lot of people are stuck on that because, like me, when I first got started, right, I go in, I build the rapport. I was great at building rapport. I could build a rapport with a seller, no problem. I would, have no problem going in, walking through the house and looking for repairs, and then came down, even actually, justifying my price, showing logic there in my price, no problem. Had no problem doing that. But then I got down to the end, and I would, that's where I get the awkward feeling of, okay, now what? So after I go through the contract and I present my offer, my number, and I'd say, okay, $100,000, $150,000. And I kind of sit there and go, so what do you think? What do you think? I said, do you want to sell your house to me? That's what I'd say. Now, I know. I didn't really have much sales training, didn't know a lot about it, but that's what I do. And they would not want to sell the house. They go, oh, well, I want to think about it. And I go, okay, you can think about it. When would be a good time I could follow up? And they go, I'll follow up with you. And that's the end of the deal. I walk out of the house and I get no contract, right? It would suck. So the bottom line is that having closing questions after you present your offer is absolutely critical. And it's critical because, otherwise you're going to get into I want to think about it, and I have to overcome the objection. If you don't overcome the objection, then they're going to, they're not going to be able to, sorry, let me just my AC lever up here. They won't sign the contract. So going in with confidence, knowing exactly what to say is critical. All right, so what are the three surefire closing questions? First one is an alternate choice close. All right, so picture this. You go over to the meet with the seller. You walk through the house. You build rapport. And the first rule of thumb is this, right? Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Let's get my hand over the speaker here. Okay. The first rule of thumb is this. Number one is whoever names the first number first loses. Whoever names the first number first loses. So your goal when you're building rapport with the seller is to try to, and this sounds weird, I know, you're trying to get them to give you a number of what they want for the property. So what I do is when I'm walking around the seller, right, and I'm talking to them, I'm saying, hey, I know you told me a number over the phone, and this is after I've kind of went through the house with them. I'm talking to them, building a rapport a little bit. But as I'm walking through the house, I'm saying, hey, so you gave me a number, what were you thinking to get for this property again? And, sorry, I'm trying to prompt them to give me a number. If I can get them to give me a number, I'd much rather have their number first, and I can negotiate off that. For an example, we got this one deal under contract. If we would have went in, our offer price on this property, our low offer price was like $150,000. We went in, we talked to the seller, and we said to the seller, hey, where do you want to be? What's a good number for you to sell the property? What do you think is fair? Based upon the condition, all those type of questions. And said to the seller, and the seller goes, give me $95,000 and it's a deal. Where our number was $150,000, our bottom line number, and he said, give me $95,000, it's a deal. Okay, so what did we do? We go, oh no, Mr. Seller, sorry, we're going to give you $150,000. No, we gave him exactly what he wanted, $95,000, signed the deal up, and he made, because he owned the property free and clear, he made $95,000. We walked away with the $85,000. Everybody's happy. It was a smoking deal. So the bottom line is you got to try to get the first number first out of the seller. If you can't, that's okay. Right? If you can't get the number out of the seller first, that's okay. Then you got to be low. Okay, so now that's why the repair sheet is so incredibly important. If you're not working off a detailed, specific repair sheet and you're able to, really add up those repairs. Now, this is difficult on a property that's it's a 2015 build property. It's in great condition. The deals you get the most smoking deals on are the deals that are, built in the 1980s and below, or, those historic neighborhoods where they haven't been touched in 30, 40, 50 years. Those you can have repair sheets. They're 40, 50, 60,000, even $100,000 repair sheets. So you got to have a detailed repair sheet. And if you have a detailed repair sheet, that repair number has got to be something logical that completely makes sense, and it's got to be legit, right? So when you're negotiating with a seller and you have the lowest of the low comps, and then you have your repair sheet, right? So let's say retail value is $200,000, right? All the low comps are selling for $120, and you have a repair sheet at 10 grand, you're going to get down to 110 logically. But if you have a repair sheet that's 30, 40, 50 grand, right? Now you take, you take 120,000. Now you're down to $60,000, $70,000 range. Now you're talking. And then you can negotiate off there with the seller. But you got to know your top line number, what the most you can offer going in right from the start. Okay. So those are just offline little tidbits. So anyways, the bottom line is three surefire closing questions. Alternate choice close. So you walk the house with a seller, you do the repair sheet, you make sure you get that to the right number. You're negotiating, building rapport. You cannot get a number out of them. No matter what you do, you cannot get a number out of them. So you're forced to go through and present your offer to the seller. That means you've got to show logical comps, right? And you've got to show repair sheet. And that logical comps and repair sheet is going to get you to an offer number, and that offer number has got to be low enough for you to be able to negotiate off. Now, once you get that offer number and you make your offer, then comes the closing question, right? Now we got a closing question. Now the closing question, alternate choice close, would say, after you present your number, so you say, hey, Mr. Seller, so when would you like to close? Would you like to close Friday, or would you like to close on Monday? And the seller goes, So now what are you doing? You're asking a question, and now the seller's going to answer the question. So is the question, do you want to take the price of $70,000? That's not the question. The question is, when do you want to close? Friday or Monday? Now, then you shut up. Whoever speaks after that closing question next loses. So you have got to bite your lip. There's going to be an odd silence. You're going to feel weird because there's going to be like 25 or 30 seconds are going to delay, right? And you're sitting there biting your lip. I bit my lip to where the inside of my lip is bleeding because I'm sitting there, I don't want to say a word, right, to the seller. So once you ask that closing question, whoever talks first loses. Remember that. Don't be the guy that's going to lose. So you ask the closing question. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. When would you like to close? Friday or Monday? So what's going on in the seller's head? It diverts him off your $70,000 offer, right? And now it puts him on Friday or Monday. Let's go Friday or Monday. And they go, Friday, great. Let's close on Friday. I'll put the date in here, and you write it in the contract. And from that point forward, you assume the sale, right? You assume the sale. It's an alternate choice close. Another close is, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. Would you like to get a check from the title company for your proceeds, or would you like to get a wire? It's a great closing question, right? Would you get a check or wire? So what does he think about? See, what you're doing is you're future pacing with a seller. You're future pacing. You're getting him to think in the future of a check or wire, right? You're future pacing when you want to close, Friday or Monday. Closing question, great closing question, right? So all those are gold. So another one would say, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. When we close, do you want to leave the keys at title, or should I come pick them up at the house? And they go, well, just, leave the keys at title. Great. So all those say, and then after they answer the closing question, what's going to happen is you're going to assume the sale. They say, I want to close on Monday. Great. Perfect. Now what you do is now you're going to fill out the contract. You're going to put the Monday date. You're going to put their name and their information because you're going to have that on the tax record sheet there, right? They're the person able to bind the contract with their signature because they own the property. You're going to put in the purchase price in there that you offered, 120, 110, 70, whatever the number is. You're going to fill it out and say, great, if you just we'll say it looks like right here, we're closing on Monday, the purchase price is this, it looks like your information's here. You kind of going through it with them. And then here, and here's the signature line. If you just fill it out here, I'll sign it here, and then we'll get this paperwork over to the title company, and we'll start the process. Okay. And now you have got the deal closed. Now they signed the contract, right? Now, I don't want to get into the next step because I got two more surefire questions I want to basically cover. But essentially after that, a couple things are going to happen. Number one is the seller is going to come up with an objection. And this is what I call the objection annihilation method. So where now, if you know the objection they are going to go overcome and you can answer that objection, then you can get them to sign the contract, right? And everything brings back to an alternate choice close. Everything bring back the objection. When you answer the objection, brings it back to an alternate choice close. So what are some objections? Well, I want to think about it. Or your offer price is too low. Or I got to talk to my realtor. Or I got to talk to my uncle. Or I got to talk to my attorney. All those are objections, and literally, you've got to be able to overcome those objections. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to overcome that objection, answer the objection correctly, and then not get to the close. Okay, so that the next step after you've answered the objection, right, is and here's why. Just so you understand, here's why people will give you an objection. Most people, now think about it, 95% of the people are going to sell their house retail. They're going to call up a realtor just like you and I. They're going to list the house. They're going to get the highest and best price they can, and they're going to sell it for, 95% of everybody you and I know is going to sell for retail, right? We got that. There is the 3 to 5% that are going to sell their house at 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar because they don't want to fix it up. They don't want to deal with retail. They're in a distressed situation, whatever the case may be. It's typically people in those type of distressed situations, right, don't like making decisions. People that make decisions quickly and then change them slowly, that's a success trait. Most people that sell their house at 40, 50, 60 cents on the dollar is typically not a successful person. They're not they don't have that success trait, right? So what do? They make decisions very slowly, if and when they ever make decisions. So they're used to procrastinating, putting off a decision because they don't want to commit or something like that. So what do? We have to, as the person is going to help them out of the situation, or they're going to lose the house in foreclosure, or whatever. We're going to be able to go there and help them make a decision so they are able to get this problem property off their hands, okay? So they're giving you an objection because they don't like making a decision. So what we got to do is overcome the objection in a logical fashion, direct it right back to the 3 surefire closing questions, round number 1, and then be able to get that deal closed, okay? Get that contract signed, okay? So, next question. Next one. So you got the alternate choice. Alternate choice is incredibly important. Alternate choice, is a very easy one. A or B. Just pick your A or B. If they land on B, you win. If they pick Monday, you win. If they pick Friday, you win. If they pick check or wire and you got your check or wire, this guy slowed down for me pretty fast. But you got check or wire, right? If they pick check, you win. If they pick wire, you win, right? So alternate choice close, whatever they pick and whatever they land on, you win. Next one is a fear of loss close, okay? The best way to explain a fear of loss close is this. Have you ever bought a car? Now, you're picky as hell, right? You're picky. You want to make sure the interior color is perfect. You want to make sure it dries right. You want to make sure it has good gas mileage. You make sure you get it for a good price, at a discount price, at the best price. You're going to be picky and you are going to be hard to sell. Now remember, you're a buyer buying a car. The problem is a lot of wholesalers get in and they get into a property and they're so stinking eager. They're just like, oh, I just got to get the contract signed. And guess what? The seller's going, man, this is weird. It's like a reverse role situation here, right? You've got the seller that's the one that's supposed to be selling. They're supposed to sell you on the house. You're a buyer. Your job is to be picky. Your job is to be as picky as heck. Guess what? The roof needs to have work. The floor plan sucks. There's only 2 bedrooms instead of 3 bedrooms, right? I don't know about this. The neighborhood's kind of rough. I don't know if it's going to work. It's more of a rental style neighborhood. I'm looking for more of a fix and flip in an area that can be able to, have families in the neighborhood, not in a rental type neighborhood. So you've got to be picky, right? Act as if you're buying a car and you're going to be picky as heck, right, to going and buying the house. So when I walk in the house, I'm going, I'm kind of picking it apart, man. This needs a little bit too many repairs, too much work. So what's it do? It's fear of loss. People make decisions, right? There's desire for gain. Like, oh my gosh, you can make all this money by selling this house, and you can get this, and you can get out of your stress, and you can get out of your headache, and you can stop the foreclosure. Desire for gain. Fear of loss is where people make decisions, right? So fear of loss. So say, listen, you know what? I don't know if this really works for me. I don't know if the number works for me. It's not going to work with this, it's not, and, I've got 3 or 4 other houses I got to, see today. I only can buy one, I do like yours, but the price isn't just right. Is that the best you can do? You're negotiating, right? We, as wholesalers, we get in and we're so eager to get the contract. We want to get it signed so bad and just to get in there. And we reverse the role. We become the seller selling them on selling us the property. It's weird. Right? So go in and be that picky buyer when you're talking to motivated sellers. Go in and really analyze the place. Think if you were going to live there, right? Think if you were going to actually live in the house and you were going to buy it and you were going to move and you're going to move in the house. You'd be picky. You'd want to have the right floor plan, right location, big enough kitchen, everything perfect. You want to have it great, right? So the bottom line is you've got to be picky. So fear of loss. What is fear of loss? So fear of loss basically says, hey, Mr. Seller, I like your house. Price is a little steep for me. There's a lot of things I need to do to this property. I said, I've got 2 or 3 other houses I got to see that, later today and later this week. Honestly, I don't know about this. I think I might just, wait and see if one of these others are a better deal. Unless you can come down on price, what's the best you can do? Remember we're paying cash, you're not paying commissions or any real estate commissions or anything. So, what's the best you can do? And now it's putting them in a position of where, you don't really need the property. You don't need the property that bad, right? So now you are in a position where you can purchase property. Now, if inventory's tight and your market's super on fire, right? You might have to raise your price. Now, I just want to tell you, not off the record, but because we're on record, right? But, as a side note, is that you have to, when it comes to pricing and when it comes to making offers to sellers in a market that's on fire. I just had lunch with Joe Taylor, is up in Portland, Oregon, and the market's on fire up there. I mean, and it is a lot of like that across the entire country. But if you're in a market where the market is just on fire, inventory's really tight, then what happens is you have to raise your price, right? You have to increase your offer price. It can't be 70%, less repairs, less your fee, and all that type of stuff. If you have multiple people bidding, then guess what? You have to increase your number to be able to get it under contract. Remember, you're going to have an out clause, which is essentially it's like an inspection period. So if you have a 30-day close, have a 30-day inspection period, right? You got 30 days to look, right? If you want to back out in 30 days, you can back out, no harm, no foul, right? So the bottom line is that you want to get the property. If you're in a super hot, ridiculous, you're going to have to increase your price to get the property under contract, and then give you the ability to sell the property. If you're not in a super hot market, then you want to be aggressive and be able to get the lowest price possible. Third one, nail down close. This is my favorite, nail down close. So you go with a seller, right? they want 120, whatever, you offer 100, the seller goes, listen, and you go, is that the best you can do? And they go, well, if you give me 107, it's a deal. If you give me 107. So now you're at 107. You go, I really need to be at 100, but you can make 107 work. And you say, okay, 107. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. And here's the tie down. A nail down means you nail them down on their commitment. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. I don't know if 107 can work. 107, I need to be at 100 to make my numbers work. 107, I can try to make work. I said, but the bottom line is that if I can make 107, I got to make a phone call. I got to look around the property. I got to do whatever. If I can make 107 work, do we have a deal? Yes or no? Because I'm not going to go talk to my buyer, my investor, my boss, whatever, and I'm not going to go talk to him and pitch him on this house unless you are committed at 107,000. So are you a go at 107 if I can get this done and get a yes? Yet once you get that yes commitment from the seller, yes, he's committed, then you're good. Then you can go to work, right? Then you can go around, you can look at the outside of the house, you can look at the roof again, you can you can do whatever. Or pick up the phone and call your partner, call an investor, call whatever, pick up the phone, and then come back and say, okay, listen, we're going to get killed on this deal. 107 really is really tight for us, but we're going to make it work. We're going to chalk this one up to just to keep our contractors busy or keep our investors busy or whatever the case may be. But we'll do the 7. I'm going to write it up right now. Let's get it done, but it's got to be done today. So you write up the contract. You already got their commitment. You nailed down the price at 107. It's a done deal. I've even gone in and said, listen, I couldn't get approved 107, but I got 105 approved. If you can do 105, it's a deal. You get an extra couple grand. An extra couple grand in this business is pretty significant. You multiply it over 200 deals, you're talking some significant amount of money, right? You multiply that's $400,000, right? That you're talking about. So don't be so skimpy to pass on a $400,000 on a $2,000 deal. So the bottom line is that those are the 3 surefire closing questions. You got to go in when you're talking to a seller, you're meeting a motivated seller, and you have to know after you present your offer. And remember, if you haven't watched the beginning of this, you've got to get them to name the first number first. If you can't get them to name the first number first, you have to make an offer. It's got to be low enough to where you can negotiate off from. And then once you present that offer, then comes your closing question. Alternate choice close, fear of loss close, or nail down close. One of those closes will get you to a potential commitment. After the close, 2 things are going to happen. They're going to say, Monday, I want to close on Monday, right? You write up the contract right there. You assume the sale. They committed. They said they want to close on Monday. You don't go, are you sure? How do you? No, you write it up. You write up the contract and get it signed right there, done on the bottom line. Right? So now you get it signed and you're good. You got the contract done. Right? So if they don't sign, the only thing that's going to happen after that is what's called an objection. And there's 16 objections. And we can talk about that in later podcast, whatever, later live cast, whatever. But there's basically 16 objections that if you know the answer to these is 16 objections, you can overcome any objection. It leads right back to a closing question. Where you want to close Monday or Friday, it goes right back to that question all over again. And then after that, the only thing, after you have the objection and you close them down and they still hesitate, after you've overcome the objection, there's what's called a gap. A gap is between your price, your bottom line price, and their bottom line price. They're stuck at 120, you're stuck at 100, the gap is 20 grand, right? So then we can talk about closing the gap, right? There's specific techniques, right, that you can use to close the gap. We'll talk about that in future ones. So, hope you guys like this. I'll talk to you guys. Have a good time. Take care. God bless. You guys rock. Go make some money. See ya.